Problem. Number two, we were still in the county, so it didn't matter. We never put a handicap ramp to go all the way to the top floor. So it was restricted. One side was supposed to have a handicap ramp. Now, you could get handicapped to the bathrooms and handicapped to the church, but in the main building, but you couldn't go upstairs. They require handicapped people to be able to access everything. Big lawyers in California, you know what they do? They use Google Maps, and they type in the word motel.
Yeah.
And they go down, and they see if you got access for handicapped people to go in motel, to get the pool. Now, nobody's ever complained about getting in the pool that was handicapped. But lawyers got veterans to go over there that were handicapped, and then they would sue the motel and tell them, if you don't pay us $25,000, we're going to take a lawsuit, we're going to take, you're going to lose everything unless you get $25,000. So, you got to provide for the handicapped. A lot of building restrictions and everything else. When you're building a building, now Solomon didn't have that problem. He was the king. He was also the guy in charge of line permit. What do you want to build? Oh, yes, I think I will. All right, no problem. Pass. Okay, how big do you want to do it? Okay, no problem. Pass. All right, so Solomon was the king. He had it all approved. Got the building up on the outside. Building's finished. What comes next? Well, you got air conditioning. You got to make sure all the lines are secure. They got to cut out all the holes around the ducts. You got to have your ceiling put in. This is a fake ceiling. We had one like that, except ours was churchy, steeple like this. We had to hire somebody to come in there and actually put it in for us. And I wanted the thickest insulation. They said, why? I said, because I don't want to pay a lot of money to cool this building off. They said, you can get away with 4 inches. I don't want 4 inches. I want the thickest insulation you can find. Why? It saves you money. In the long run, it would save money. So, to run the wire, because we were on 3-phase, they told me it was going to be $10,000 to $15,000 to run the pole from the street all the way to the building. I prayed it in. We got it done for $150 for the pole.
Good.
So we just kept praying about it, we finally got it done.
Yeah.
Solomon has built it. He spent a lot of gold in it. Now he starts in chapter 7. You ready? Chapter 7, or have we started already? Chapter 7, we see that he is building his house, 13 years. Now he started the same time he started the temple. And maybe earlier, I'm not really sure exactly how it all went. All I know is it took him 13 years, only took him 7 years to build the temple. But the temple's still not finished. You see how he built it. He put all kinds, shows it was a much bigger building. The doors, the beams, the windows, the porch, verse 6, verse 7, 7. 7. If you'll look at numerology, you know what numerology is? That's when I talk about John 6:6. That's when everybody left him. And what did they do? The devil showed up, stirred the people off, and Jesus went from running 800 to 11 or 12 guys. That was it. And you talk about a major church split. But it happened. So we have the perfectionist number, 7, 7. 7 being the number of perfect, the day of rest. He made a judge, a throne for the judge. What's he going to do? He's going to judge the people. Where? From his house. He's the king. He ain't got to go downtown, go down to the courthouse. I'm ready to judge. I get out of my bed, I eat my breakfast, I take a bath, whatever. And then I head over there, somebody gets my clothes, and I head over to the front of the house, and I sit down in my judgment seat. I'm ready to hear cases. That's pretty good. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. When you get it all done, he did it for efficiency reasons. He can get more things done. He built a house. His house was dwelt. Another court around the porch was like the work. Solomon made also a house for what? Pharaoh's daughter. Why? He kept it to the side. Solomon's going to wind up having more wives and more concubines than any man pretty much in the world, as far as I know. I don't know if anybody else has beat him. But he starts off, he gives her own house. I don't think it was a room, I think it was a house. Again, why did he marry Pharaoh's daughter? Does anybody remember?
Stop.
Because he wanted to have around everybody.
That's right, he wanted peace around all the country, so he took a daughter from each of the kings surrounding him. Because there's less fighting going on when you're married to the king's daughter. Your dad runs the country, I'm married to your daughter, let's don't fight. That worked out great. He put costly stones in front of the foundation of the coffin, so on the outside, the foundation with costly stones. Again, costly stones in verse 11. And there was 3 rows of huge stones and a row of cedar beam, both for the inner court of the house of the Lord, for the porch of the house. Now begins the furnishing. You say, why is this important? Build it, man. Once you finish building, now you got to fix it up. Amen? Now, let's say you get the air conditioning going, got the lights going. We can sit on, just regular chairs until we get some padded chairs. Chairs are a whole lot easier than pews. We don't have to get carpet yet. We don't need carpet. All we need is a pulpit, a camera, that's good enough. All right? And you got yourself going. Then you can paint walls, you can put in carpet. Amen. As long as one of the bathrooms work, you're okay. Now, the permit people down here at the county probably going to want a little bit more done to it before they let you start having church. But since they don't do inspections on Sunday, you're probably going to be pretty okay.
Right.
Amen.
Amen.
So Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. He was a widow's son, out of the tribe of Nephithah. Did I get that right? Nephithah. And his father was a man of Tyre, worker in brass. He was filled with wisdom, understanding, cunning on work in brass. And King Solomon wrought the work. Notice, King Solomon sent somebody to go over there. Hey, King wants you. You got a big job. You got a big project, man. All right, I need you to go with the king. Well, I can do it probably in a couple of days. I can finish it. No, they fetched him. Amen. King Solomon was not taking no for an answer. Well, I got a prior commitment. I don't really care about your prior commitment. Amen. Did you know that God actually wants you first in His life?
Amen.
And He really doesn't care about all your little details and all your little plans and everything else that you have that I got to get done. He just knows one thing. Amen?
Amen.
I want to be first. King Solomon says, you coming because I got a big job. I don't care who it is. You working for me first.
Amen.
You got to get your priorities in life in order. King Solomon says, we are finishing the temple on the inside. What kind of job does he do? He works in brass. He made all kinds of brass things. 2 pillars of brass, verse 15. 2 chevers of molten brass, verse 16. Necks of checker work, wreath of chain work, top of the pillar. 7 from one chapter, 7 from the other, verse 17. He made 2 rows, one network over the chever where they're upon the top with pomegranates. He did that again. And he did this over and over and over, putting the brass where it needed to go. And he even named him. He called one Jason, Jachin, verse 21. You say, why should I care about the name? The other one was Boaz. Boaz. Does anybody remember Boaz?
Yes. Naomi.
Naomi. Boaz, remember?
Ruth.
The Ruth.
Ruth. Yes.
That that was one of Lot's great, 10th generation, finally allowed back in the temple. She got married, Boaz. So they wanted that temple name. Now, I'll let you Google the other one, amen, Jachin, and figure out what name that represents in the Bible. Amen, thank you. God bless you, amen, because I know you're going to cheat, so you might as well look it up, because I know you have a little book, amen. You might as well Google it, amen. And he made a molten of seed, 10 cubits. He made under the brim, knobs. He compassed the sea around about knobs, 2 rows, 12 oxen, looking toward the north, looking toward the west, toward the east, toward the south. He set them, he put all kinds of stuff, brimmed the cup, flowers of lilies, contained 2,000 baths, made 10 baths of brass. I mean, he tells you everything that he's doing. The borders. Then he puts the ledges where lions, oxen, cherubims above the hedges. All these were there made from brass, another thing. And the mouth of it with the chapter, under the border. I mean, he's just going on and on about the axle, the 4 wheels. You know, amen. And he's talking about all these things that he's doing. In verse 37, he made them after one casting in measure and one size. You know what he did? He learned how to make it, and then he had one measure, one size. When he made something, it was mass produced the best way they could during that time.
Amen.
So when he made all those things, the lions and the oxen and all the other things that were there inside the temple, everything made out of brass, he had the perfect measure. Everything was done in order. And then he gets to the lavers and the shovels and the basins and the pillars. Everything was made. 400 pomegranates for 2 networks, verse 42. 2 rows of pomegranates for 1 network to cover the 2 bowls. The 10 base, the 10 lavers on the base. 1 sea, 12 oxen in the sea, the pots and the shovels, the basins. All these which Aaron made in the kingdom of the house of the Lord were of bright brass. And it was in the plain of Jordan that the king cast them in the clay ground round about Shushan and Zerton. You notice it was made very special by a very special man. All the work, he was a master.
Right.
He was a master that worked in one thing. Brass. Can you make me something out of gold? You really need goldsmith. Can you make me something out of silver? You really need a silversmith. Well, how about an iron? Can you do something with iron? No, you need somebody that knows how to is a master in iron. What you need is someone that specializes in one thing. This man specialized in one thing. Brass. Solomon knew, I'm a pretty smart man. I got the wisdom that God gave me. Can I do this job by myself? You know what he said? No. You cannot do it by yourself. Did he have the knowledge? Yes. Did he have the experience? No. No experience. You know how you learn by experience? You either train or you learn by trial and error. The only way to learn. You either have somebody teach you or you learn it by trial and error.
Yep.
I was showing my daughter, I said, she was showing me some classes she wanted to take. I said, well, this represents this, and this is this, and this will be this, and this class will teach you this, and this class will teach you this. I'm just looking at the outline. I said, the final class is English and rhetoric. That just means, are you smart enough to tell us what you learned? I said, that's all it is.
Right.
I said, if you want to learn this field, I think you can, but you got to decide what do you want to master in. You got to learn. Did you know that every once in a while you need someone to tell you or do the job for you? Because you cannot. Mr., I want to do everything.
Right.
Mrs., I want to do everything. Let me tell you, now, I'm sorry, that is not your field.
Right.
You know, I saw my doctor today, very nice young lady. I kid around with her all the time. I kid with all the people that I try to talk to. And I mean, she's a very good doctor, don't get me wrong. But if I ever, I had a buddy of mine fell off a motorcycle, and had to have his head examined and everything. I don't think I'd allow her to do that. You say, what? She's not a master in that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Is she a great doctor? Absolutely. I recommend her all the time. But I'm just telling you, she cannot do certain things.
Right.
You need somebody in your life that you can trust that's a master. Whether it's finances, whether it's physical or mental or spiritual. Sometimes you need somebody that will help you. I got a whole library of books in my office. You say, what are these books for? To be read, to be studied. There's certain subjects that I look up and I say, I need to study on this. And I'll look up the book. And a doctor's office has the same thing, has all kinds of books. They got to study back up. They got to go back to school over and over and over. You know, my son thinks, this is going to be great, going to be done in a couple of weeks, everything's going to be fine. No, you go back to school. Eventually you will continue your education because things will change. It's going to be a continuous process. Over and over and over again. Till finally you become a master. Let me ask you this. What kind of expert advice do you need from somebody, amen, that you need from that can help you? You said, I need advice and financial help. Well, I advise talking to a banker or an accountant. Amen. You better talk to somebody that knows something about money. I'm just saying, if you got a problem with your health and you got these health problems, I advise you find someone that's a master in that particular field.
Amen.
You need someone that can help you. Amen.
Amen.
We got a Bible that can help us. You say, is the Bible good enough? Yes.
Amen.
If you're spiritual.
Amen.
You know why I got all them books on subjects that pertain to the Bible? Because these men have already studied it. I can just go to them. Look up what they learned out of the Bible and apply it to my life. You say that's the shortcut. Duh.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to study one thing, it's one thing, all right? You know, I consider myself an expert in prayer. I mean, other ministers, preachers, I know one preacher, several preachers, they teach on the family. That's all they teach on. You want to learn about the family? Go to them. I know a church down in the Pews Church. And when you go see them, you cannot see the pastor. You see the other ones. So they're pastors that but they're part of the ministry, but they handle. You have financial problems, you go see that guy over there. You got yeah, they're basically elder, but they specialize. You don't see the guy that knows how to do legal research for the one that wants to do financial research.
Right.
You don't see the marriage guy when you got legal problems. You have to wind up. There's only certain areas, and you've got to be willing to say, I need. Are you ready for this? Most of you will not like it. It's a four-letter word. Starts with an H.
Help.
I need help.
Amen.
I need help.
Amen.
Amen.
I have never been through this before. I don't know how to lay brass.
Right.
What are you going to do? Get the brass man. Now, we had a good plumber over there in Conroe. Don't get me wrong. He was a good young man. All right? But he never done commercial properties. You know what I needed? I needed somebody that actually knew what they were doing with commercial properties. I had somebody do the plumbing work. They ran all the lines for the water. They used a real thin line. I'm going, what if it gets stuck in the wall? Well, this is the best way to do it. We're going to do it this way. Now, his labor was free and the pipe was cheap, so I'm thinking, I'll let the next pastor figure this one out, all right? Because they're going to have to break all these walls, all this sheetrock. Because when the water starts, if it overheats, if it gets too cold in the winter, the pipes are going to break because they're brittle and they're real thin. Now these aren't going to break. These are good. I'm going, shouldn't we use a thicker one? In case it gets clogged a little bit somewhere.
Right.
You know, and the water won't go to the back. You know, because we're taking it all the way from the well all the way down. I mean, this thing is huge. You know, by the time we get the water, oh, don't worry about it. So you know what I did? I said, don't worry about it. Okay. He's an expert. He thinks it's going to be no problem. You got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And the one person you need more than anyone else is the master of the masters, and that is God Almighty.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Now God, just like an army, sets up different positions. He sets up pastors, evangelists. He sets up all these different people. Amen. Missionaries. So that they know what they're doing. I told somebody, I said, we need a wise man minister. Somebody that'll just be the wise guy, amen, and come in when there's a problem in the church and do it biblically. The problem is, most Baptists don't want to do anything the way the Bible says to do it. I mean, you got an instruction book. Aren't we following the directions?
Right.
I'll tell you why we ain't following the directions, because our traditions say, let's don't follow the directions. Thank you. God bless you. Hallelujah. You know who thinks they're always the expert? I mean the brain? The pastor. Let me tell you right now, if you're dependent on my thinking, amen, I don't think that good. I expect good advice from other people. So when I ask for, what should we do about this? What did they say? What should we do? Well, this is what we ought to do. Well, since I'm no expert, let's do it. Amen.
Amen.
Does it always work? Not all the time. But you followed what God said. Now, let me explain this. My job as a pastor is to pray who we should support. Now, as the church grows and more people get involved, I'll ask, okay, we got 6 guys. Who likes this guy? No. Does anybody want to support this guy? How about this guy? Anybody want to give any money to this guy? I mean, I'm talking about your money, not my money. Anybody want to give?
Okay.
I'll give 10, I'll give 20, I'll give 30, I'll give 40. Okay, we'll give them $75 a month, okay? Church kick in the extra 15. You say, how do you do that? Well, because you want the church involved. But let's say we pick a loser. Okay, the guy sounded good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this ministry down over there at the border. I'm going to win all the illegal aliens. You know, as they're crossing, I'm going to have my SUV right there, blaring out the gospel in Spanish. You know, telling them to accept Jesus before they try to cross illegally. So what kind of ministry is that? I have no idea. I just made it up. Amen. I'm just saying. Let's say we put money in this guy, and 3 years later we find out he's a flake. He never went down there. He was living down, in Cancun and blowing our money. You say, well, it's your fault, preacher. You're the one who picked it. I'm the one who presented the work. We prayed about it. We asked others who else supports him. He sounded like a good bet. Did you know that it doesn't matter We did what God told us to do.
Amen.
Amen.
We did the best we could do.
Amen.
That's right.
Now this guy, he's got highly recommended. Highly recommended. We had a guy one time at our church. They said, this guy is highly recommended. I said, what does he do? He goes around churches and tells people why they need to support missions. Why they need to give money to these guys that are selling everything and moving out of the country. And why we need to support their works. Where it's in the Bible, how does it teach us, the whole 9 yards. So we get the guy, right? He badmouths the government, and I just kept letting him go 5 more minutes. Okay, 5 more minutes. All of a sudden, it's 20, 25. I said, okay, that's enough. I'm sick of you turning, we're just putting down the government. The reason you need to give government is just like this guy said. Government's going to take over everything. Yes, they're going to shut down all the churches. That's why you need to give now, before they do all this. That's the only thing I could come up with. You know what I did? I hired a master. You know what he was? He might have been a master at one time. He might have been good. I give Seth, my son, suggestions about cars. He says, they don't do that anymore, Dad. He said, your advice is 30 years old. 20 years old. I'm sorry. I said, just, you're having a problem with air holes, put a little, duct tape and duck it up and, put a little brace on it. If you got braces up, he said, blow it off. I'm thinking, okay, apparently I don't know what's going on around here. Amen. So I'm not much of a master.
Amen.
Sometimes you need help.
Amen.
Will you always get the advice that you absolutely have to have? No. Once in a while, old weirdo will show up and he'll give you the advice that he could have gave away 20 years ago, 30 years ago,
Right.
and he said, this is what you need to do. And he's been staying with that same plan ever since. You ask him today, he says the same thing. Same advice. I used to go to a doctor, you know what he would give me? Penicillin. If I had a flu, if I had a cough, if I had an infection, penicillin. You know why? That's all he knew. He was an 80-year-old doctor, amen?
Yeah.
And that's all he knew how to do, penicillin.
Right.
I think there's something
Amen.
stronger now, Doc. He said, doesn't matter, you don't want to kill your immune system. Penicillin. That was his master, amen? Penicillin. Kills everything.
Yeah. Right.
So when you get somebody to come in there, you better make sure he knows exactly what he's doing. You need to ask the Lord, now, should I follow this advice or should I not? Did you know that God will sometimes allow you to make mistakes? Amen?
Amen.
He'll allow you to make bad decisions. You know why? Because sometimes the only way you learn is a bad decision.
Amen.
Amen.
Verse 51. They made the spoons, the basins, the snuffers, all out of pure gold, the hinges out of gold. So was the work ended. King Solomon made for the house of the Lord. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father dedicated, even the silver, the gold, the vessels, he put them on the treasure in the house of the Lord. Notice also, one more thing,
Have some manners.
all the money that was spent. This was not a cheap job. Where your money goes is where your treasure is. That's where your heart is.
Amen.
Now, I'm looking at my bills. If I go over, I go over. I'll give them a few minutes. My house payment, probably the most expensive thing in my life. Giving to the church, second. Third is food. Going out is probably fourth. And fifth is my wife's car or the electric bill, depending on which one comes in at the time of the year. In the summer, it's always the light that wins. You have to figure out where your money goes to figure out where your priorities go. Notice Solomon. I ain't an expert. Why? I want this thing done right.
Right.
Now, I try to get some guys jobs.